those instruments right next to you and feel the energy from all of the musicians, there's just no comparison. To dance with the orchestra just brings it to life.
The spontaneity is a magic that you cannot achieve with a recorded piece of music.
They take everything off, or are they just going to slide the whole thing down?
They just slide the whole thing across.
Teddy and I cooked it up over lunch, if I remember correctly. We talked about what the ballet and the orchestra might be able to do together beyond the normal arrangement of the ballet on stage and the orchestra in the pit.
And so I said, Robert, why don't we just genuinely collaborate? Rather than you hiring the orchestra to play for one of your major shows, let's collaborate and bring it together so that we're co-presenting an entire week's worth of performances. Oh my gosh. That is insane. The idea was that we would do 3 pieces. As an anchor, Petrushka, one of the biggest scale ballets, something that probably neither the orchestra nor the ballet would ever take on just by themselves. But together, we were able to put together this really giant work, one of the towering ballets of the 20th century. And then we thought, okay, why don't we do a very new piece, something that's never been done before? And so I wrote a ballet for this very production.
We're bringing a choreographer, Adam Hougland, a composer, Teddy Abrams, and a visual artist, Chris Doyle, together to create a brand new work.
The last piece would be Philip Glass's violin concerto, which we're doing in a special form that Philip Glass authorized as a saxophone concerto. And that was a choreography that was made just a few years ago by the choreographers doing both my piece and Petrushka.
Go, 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 one. Good. Nice. That was a good arm, yeah.
Petrushka is really going to challenge any preconceived ideas of the narrative that is behind the traditional Petrushka.
It's nothing like the original, ballet. It's very different. It's much more like a feeling, but not like, oh, and then she punched him in the face and ran away. There's no pantomime aspect to it like that. But there's definitely something happening to someone.
Creating something like a classic and having a contemporary choreographer come in and just shake it up, the audience is in for it because I think you won't know what to expect.
Petrushka was created during the height of the Ballet Russe, where collaboration amongst art forms was vital and bold. When Diaghilev was pulling Stravinsky and Debussy and Matisse and Picasso and Nijinsky, all these incredible artists in each of their own genres, pulling them together to create new work. I think it's fantastic that Petrushka, one of those works, is being preceded by a brand new creation.
I wasn't familiar with Teddy's stuff, but it is so much energy, so much like detail, a lot of really interesting colors and shifting, and I think it's going to be a really nice impetus for movement. It's going to be so much more alive. I mean, the other two ballets are a little bit more dark, and I feel like his will be a lot more, you know, exuberant.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba be ba wham ba ba and close it, close it. I think you're right. Yay! Does that pirouette feel like too like?
No, I kind of like it, especially the way that the sounds. It's so like.
It's like if he let go, and then you like, I don't know, just so there was like a moment of like, find it. That's better. Hua, so you don't have to do 1,000. Yeah, cool.
All right, we're gonna start with unified field. So fiddles, no accents whatsoever. It's just a smoky effect. 5, 6. More time.
Piece. It's really stretching, I think, everybody artistically, and particularly the horns. We play a lot, and it's pretty difficult, but it's very fun.
Good, thanks.
I'm so anxious to see Adam's choreography. I don't choreograph in my mind, but I feel what I feel, and it moves me a certain way. And it'll be really interesting to see how he has interpreted that same sound to move his way.
This gives me a chance to see what the choreography looks like. It's actually quite an experience to focus on the dance, because it's not your natural inclination as a composer. Your natural inclination is to start analyzing and living in that world. It's not like I can just listen to it as a piece of music that they're dancing to. You know, I live and breathe every single note of that.
Adam's interpretation of Teddy's music may be completely different to what Teddy's interpretation is, but the dialogue between them is where that line gets closer and closer, or the tolerance for variance gets more and more and more.
How often do you get to actually ask the composer anything, right? Usually not, because they're dead. 99% of the time, they're dead. And with any luck, I'll make it into the 1%.
I can just get through this week. There's always a chance, though. The odds are against me. I don't know if I explained why I called it unified field. No. Did I? No. So I don't know how into like science you all are, but yeah, please. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh God, here it goes. He's gonna start talking about physics. Yeah, and we're gonna sit down for this. Unified field theory or theorem is kind of like this mythological, but we believe it to be real, theory that ties together particle physics with cosmological physics. Everybody's been searching for this obscure theory that may tie together everything in a beautiful, elegant bow. In a way, music is similar. Music all communicates because it essentially uses the same language. Of course, that's the theme played over and over, right? And whatever. Not my problem. Somebody else has to play that. So there are many different kinds of ballets, and one of the traditions that came from America is the Balanchine version. When Balanchine came to New York, he started the New York City Ballet. And characteristic of Balanchine's ballets is that many of the ballets are based on existing pieces of music, whether they were meant to be danced or not. And so he would take pieces of music that maybe had nothing to do with a narrative plot and create an abstract form of dance that went with it. And so this really opened up the idea that it didn't all have to be like the Nutcracker or Swan Lake and have a very specific kind of narrative. And that's what we did in this piece. I said, what if we created kind of a mini symphony with 4 parts, each referencing different kinds of music? So the first one references Romanticism. The second movement is an up-tempo funk tune. The third movement is a work of blues. And then the last movement is like a kind of crazed bluegrass tune.
People have been working individually for so long on the piece, and then it's just coming together all day today. So by tomorrow night, I think it'll be ready for the dancers to join us.
This looks amazing. This is so ambitious. I can't believe we're doing this. The light line does not go as far down as we think. So wherever you see the tape marks, this is maximum.
It's just really hard to figure out how to get the dancers in place. Then you have to get those same dancers into the costumes for the next ballet, get those people off, get other people on, and then, it all has to like finish by a certain time. It's just kind of, it's like trying to like play Jenga.
Usually when we're in the pit, the horns are in the very back row. I see nothing. So this will be fun. It'll also be distracting because I'm going to be so concentrated on my part, but I'm going to want to be watching the dancers as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 5-minute call to on stage for the top of this evening's dress rehearsal. 5-minute call to on stage.
Lights 50 and spot out go, house out go.
When you have the quality in the music, when you have the quality of the conductor, and you have the quality of the choreography and the other dancers around you, it's not you that's dancing, it's something else that's moving you. We're all seeking that perfect world where those things come together.
When you work with people in different genres, it forces you to look at art through a completely different lens, and they bring a perspective to it that you probably could never imagine. You get to really grow and experience something new, and that's the fun of it.